black men. You have those black men who are angry, who don't know how to express their emotions. Then you have those black men who are considered to be angry because they are conscious now. It's almost like once you become conscious, others consider you angry. They consider you have a chip on your shoulder about something because you don't do certain things. Maybe you stop, excuse me, let me make sure this is popped up. I don't know why that popped up like that. Maybe you stop doing certain things, so those you used to network with or whatever, but like, man, he didn't change or she didn't change. And you started doing things a little bit more conscious, like you recognize certain things, you recognize what's going on with the system, you recognize the things that you was taught, traditions. You recognize, that a lot of the things that you had been believing up to this point, however old you might be, you was fed a lot of lies. So a person that's awoke, that's conscious, does seem like they're angry just because they express certain things and they were like, oh, you must be angry. No, I'm not angry. I have a right to be angry though, That's what tripped me out, because it's almost like society don't want to give you your right to be angry. They just want you to forgive them. They just want to hand you the good book and say, forgive your slave masters. Forgive those who rightfully use you. Turn the other cheek. That's what they want you to do. And, if you do that, then you're not angry. I look at anger and bitterness as being two different things. I don't want to be bitter at what happened. But I think just like Christ, who went in the temple and turned over the chairs, and it said he was angry what was going on in God's house. So that let me know the reality of having anger for something being done unaccordingly. There's nothing wrong with it. But the system will try to tell you that you angry because you talk about certain issues. Well, why all lives don't matter? Family, we know all lives matter. We really do. We know God created all people. But this is one fact. Now, we celebrating our first Juneteenth, right? That's written in law. Now what's going to come next is the reality that we are the first descendants that's alive now of the slaves that was in America. All other slaves in other countries have been honored, even by America, where they have honored other countries. They honored some of the Asian Americans that's over here. They honored some of the ones that came over here from the war that's going on in the Soviet Union. They tend to honor everybody but those they enslaved. And sometimes I used to wonder, like, man, why? Why do the system do that? And you know what I figured out, man, just to myself? I think because secretly, the system still look at us being their property. Salute, salute, salute. Let me check in. Let me make sure I lock everybody in. I seen a few messages pop up. Yeah, what you just said. Woo! Man, if you ain't smiling, cooning, then you angry, family. Because if you speak any knowledge, if you do any post about being conscious and being Afrocentric and wanting your people to be awake and, That's wrong. Like every other nationality over here does it, and we don't have nothing to say about nobody. But if you do it, it's something wrong. But see, I understand something. They'll look at us and they'll judge us from being in certain areas, and they say, just look at them putting all that money in them cheap cars, putting all that money in their mouth, putting all money in clothing, not really knowing how we was raised. And a lot of traditions that we keep up to now was only from the slaves in the South not being able to keep their money. Because, see, they tried to put their monies in the banks and, do the bank thing. And then you know what happened, family? They just took the folks' money. So people started investing their monies under the, bed and in the house and buying Cadillacs and cars and looking good and looking nice because as slaves, they figured, well, we free, but we don't own nothing. So at least if we're working hard, we at least want to see our money. We at least want to be able to say, well, at least I got this, because we don't know nothing about financial literacy. We don't know nothing about generational wealth. You got to think, we ain't never had no boots on, no shoes on. We was barefoot coming over here, fam. So I understand why Dr. King told the American that came from overseas, like, man, you just got to pull yourself up from your bootstraps. Fam, we ain't got no bootstraps, you know what I mean? So, it's just something to think about, I really feel that we have to remind ourselves why we're doing what we're doing and not to get distracted by the system, you know what I mean? Not to get distracted by how someone else feel about what we should be doing with our lives, I don't really care, what someone else think about what I'm doing if they're not helping me improve what I'm doing, if they're not adding to it, but if they're just tearing down, I don't really care, you know what I mean? And one thing that really is like a pet peeve of mine, if I say I represent something to claim something or whatever, I'm gonna stand on it. And I can't stand for someone to try to quote scriptures when they never really read the full Bible and they never did the full research, and they want to quote this and this, and then they leave out a mile, and then they just instantly started judging and casting down. And I'm trying to figure out, if the Christ you're talking about came for those on the side highways and byways and slums, you think he gonna get any of those people by telling them, you're a bum, you need to straighten up, you need to get yourself together, don't you? You don't think them folks know that? Man, come on now. You got to come with a different message. You got to come with some healing like he did. Some giving, some being around in the trenches with him. So, fam, today I was just thinking about that, man. That people consider you angry. People consider, a person not willing to help all people because you for your people. That's not what that means, fam. I'm willing to help all people. But I'm knowing if I don't do nothing for my people, if I don't do nothing for home, then I'm going to help anybody else. You know how they say it starts at home first. You can't be a man of your house. How you gonna expect to run an establishment? Be a boss, so to speak. All I want to say, family, those who are conscious, man, stay conscious, stay seeking, stay looking for information, stay feeding yourself. And just because I want to say this, just because you get some information, family, and you get some good information, and I know we'll get information that inspire you and you can't wait to share it with someone. You're like, man, I want to tell someone about this new information. But fam, it's a way to do everything. But don't get discouraged if someone's ain't ready for the meat that you got if they still drinking milk. You know what I mean? So I've learned we have to have discernment to know, when, that you can go into a deep discussion with someone that's on the same eye level with you. But if someone that's not on that level, for some reason, just throw a whole lot of Jews out there because they ain't gonna get it, or you gonna get frustrated or feel like, man, they ain't listening. I done gave them all my all, and nah, fam, we can't do it like that. Like, the best way to teach is lead by example. So sometimes you just have to go to where that person is. See, that's one thing I like about a wise teacher. You know, in order for him to instruct anyone, he gonna make sure a child can understand it and a grown person can understand it. And he ain't gonna make no one feel other than what they are. You'll still feel grown and they'll still feel like a child and say, yeah, I get that. And you'll be like, yeah, that's real. You know what I mean? Hey, you know, I feel like, but as we obtain knowledge, fam, you know, we gonna get angry. You're gonna get angry once you start doing history lessons and you start finding out a lot of stuff that they didn't put in schools, they would never teach in schools. You start finding out stuff about medicine and food. You start finding things out about, you know, the housing market. You start finding things about the government and how it orchestrated certain neighborhoods and hospitals and, you know, and infrastructures, railroads, you know, you just get to, once you get to find the truth out, fam, you know, I think that it's only just that you want to throw over a table. You want to do what Christ did. You want to kick over a chair or something. You know what I mean? But that don't mean you want to go and do the same thing that happened to your people. That don't mean you want to go lynch anybody. That means you don't want to go burn nobody's houses down or burn nobody communities down like the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, things that happened in Glenwood and other places across the country that was complete blessings and they got destroyed by, you know, the system. Appreciate it. Salute. Thanks for checking in, fam. Thanks for checking in. Like I say, man, you know, I just really wanted to talk about that because just because we conscious and we understand what's going on, a lot of people, you know, look at us and think we're angry. We're not angry, fam, you know. We just know what's going on, you know, and fam, you know what I mean? I love, you know, I'm honestly the type of person that when I'm down, you know, I take the situation, I turn it into a joke in a minute and just laugh about it. Like, well, at least this situation, you know what I mean? I'll find a way to laugh about it, you know what I mean? Because my mom used to do that. She was like, well, you know, ain't nothing wrong with it. She was like, you know, it takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown. And when you use a lot of frowning muscles, you know, that's how you age, you know what I mean? So, you know, I try to smile as much as I can. But I think that as we grow up and become, you know, Black kings and queens in America, you know, you have to face the reality of the truth. You have to be able to pass down the information because things are still the same. You know, the old saying is there's nothing new under the sun, fam. So it's not like it doesn't exist now. It just changed forms, changed names, so to speak. So, you know, I feel that we have to be hungry and really thirsty for more information, but we can't allow what others feel about us to keep us from chasing this knowledge, to keep us from growing and wanting to get to that next level, regardless of what the situation is. So, you know, this evening I just wanted to come live for a second, just say, you know, I'm not angry. You know, I don't feel that those who are seeking for knowledge, those who are pro-Black, Afrocentric, whatever, you know what I mean? I don't feel like those who are Black natives, those who are Israelites, whatever you represent, I don't feel like a person is angry because they started getting knowledge. You know what I mean? But a person can get to the point where, you know, they get bitter and started reacting in a negative way. Yeah, that's a good one, bro. That's a good one. You know, we always have to find, you know, it's crazy because God gave us all emotions, fam. And, you know, humor is something that can laughter is something that can heal the soul, you know. So we don't want to stay in an uptight situation. So we have to look at situations as what it is, learn from it and change, you know what I mean? But I can say this, once we know better, fam, we got to do better. Like there's no way for you to, in my personal opinion, to know and want to go back to what it was. You know what I mean? I don't want to go back to what it was. Like I remember, you know what I mean? And I think that's what we have to do. Yeah, you gotta have a good attitude. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you, fam. You know, in life, sometimes you can. I mean, sometimes things can hit you, and you be like, you don't want to see the way, or it's hard to see it. But I think in times like that, that's when you really got to dig deep in yourself and say, you know what? You know, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is where I survive. You know, that's why it's good to remember. But it's crazy that remembering is like a rearview mirror, you know. It's only meant to look back a little bit. Then you got your windshield that is bigger because we got to stay focused on what we're doing. But every now and then we got to look back to make sure we good before we turn lanes. You know what I mean? So I think that as we get knowledge, fam, you know, there's an old scripture that says, why obtain, it says, so much knowledge can be grievous. And why be a fool and die before your time? So with that being said, fam, there's a balance to everything. We can obtain all this knowledge. I know people who got stupid amount of knowledge, but they're not doing anything with it but talking about it. I think, and it's keeping them from growing in another area. So get the knowledge, but grow. Plant a seed. Do something with your life. It doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. You know, you start your blogging, your page, or whatever you're doing, your business. It said it takes 3 to 5 years for a business to be successful. So put in the work, fam. You know, don't get discouraged because things ain't going right instantly. And don't get discouraged once you find out the truth about what's going on in America. Yes, a seed will always grow. You know, I had to say the other day that I honestly feel that I am the rose that grew between the crack in the sidewalk concrete. You know, I really feel that my seed fell on some rocky grounds and I was still able to produce. And it said that it will be. It said some seeds will fall on different soil. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful that God allowed, you know, the seed to just take root. So I understand what I am now as an individual. I know I'm a planter, you know. I plant seeds and a lot of times I don't go back and water until I'm on the move. So I know I'm planting seeds, but a lot of time I don't know who I didn't assisted. Sometimes I do, but sometimes it's just to see the information. So it's good to know that when you plant a seed and you're doing it in the truth, it's not gonna return to you void, fam. So just keep that in mind. So before I let y'all go this evening, man, like I said, I just wanted you to think about that. I just wanted to say I'm not angry. I'm just conscious. I know who I am. But like Feniks, y'all be blessed.